Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to My Deep Guide, and in today's video we are going to be checking out the keyboard magnetic cover for the Boox Note Max. This keyboard cover has been kindly sent to me directly by Boox, but I don't get to keep it. I just get to do the review and give you my objective and as unbiased as possible opinion and demonstration of the product, so that you have good information when making your purchasing decisions. So if you do value the work and the independence of My Deep Guide, then please do like, subscribe and share the videos. And if you do want to make a more direct type of support, there are two ways to do that. One is by doing the super chat comment kind of donation in the comments down below, and the second one is by going to mydeepguide.com/shop, where you can find hyperlinked PDF files that help you organize all of your yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily needs in the case of My Daily Organizer or MDO, or organize all of your meeting planning needs in the case of My Deep Guide Meeting Planner or MMP. More information about both of these products you can find in the description below. And just know that by purchasing these products, not only do you get a KCAS organizer that's not only a super good fit with a device like the Boox Note Max, but you also directly help support the independence of My Deep Guide. And now onwards with the Boox Note Max magnetic keyboard cover. And here it is. From the back we have the Boox logo here, but other than that there are absolutely no other details whatsoever. The structure itself is the faux leather type, which resembles the structure of the regular cover, but obviously there is a bit more heft, but nothing really drastic. I would have expected this one to be a lot more heavier, but it's not. As far as the thickness goes, it doesn't really add that much thickness to the whole picture. And you can see, like, from the profile we have the thickness of the keyboard, and the rest is basically the same stuff that we've had on the regular keyboard or the regular cover for Note Max. So when we open it up, then we can see that we have pretty much the same type of stuff, nice and fluffy and fuzzy stuff here to protect the device from the back. So the magnetic forces are going to be applied in this area here to hold your device. The idea is that you slot the device here, it holds it there, and then you kind of bend it and it fits into the slot here, which has those two plastic prongs and a 5-pin pogo there to establish the connection and power the keyboard. The keyboard is powered by the device itself directly, and no, it does not have batteries, so the battery consumption will increase when using the keyboard. The keyboard itself is nicely manufactured, and it's a really welcome change to see full-size keys on a keyboard for a device of this type. On the bottom we do have the trackpad here. The aspect ratio of the trackpad it's wider than it's tall, and that's okay, but I think that it would have been nicer if the aspect ratio matched exactly or very closely the aspect ratio of the screen itself, and then this would kind of make more sense. They have completely flat key tops here, and the switches, I believe they have membranes here, because they are you can definitely feel the membrane when you are pressing it down. So the overall feel is okay. The sound is as such. So at a first glance it feels okay. I'm not entirely confident of the space bar, because it seems to kind of go a little bit woink, as if it's sinking down lower here than on this corner, and that's just, it's not really that great. The main material here is plastic. We don't have any sharp edges or anything like that. However, it is plastic surface. So you do have these pads here, or areas where you would rest your wrists on, and that is a hard surface, which over time will make it so that you can definitely feel it, especially on this bone of the wrist here and this one here, but mainly this one there. So you will feel it over an extended period of time. It would have been a much better idea if this whole area here was cushioned and that it kind of doubled as also a wrist and palm rest kind of an area, but also it would do something far more important. And ultimately, I mean, I'm gonna do the whole test of the keyboard, but this design has a completely, in my mind, a fatal flaw, which means that I would never ever use this accessory for my Note Max, and I cannot recommend anyone to actually use it. And here's why. Let's put the device in and see how it's supposed to function. All right, so this is how we have our device, and it's supposed to come into here, and the magnetic forces hold it all in this area here, and there's a bit of a magnet that holds it down here. It's quite easy to unsnap it from there, but as soon as I do that, it tends to kind of fall off from this side quite easily. All right, not ideal, but it's not a complete deal breaker. The way it's supposed to work is that you detach it from this side, right? And then you simply slot it over into here. There we go. I think, there we go. Now it's clicked. And when it's clicked, it understands, hey, I am on, and it gives you all the information, and then you can enjoy and use it as you normally would. All right, and let's say you're doing your typing, you're doing everything, and it's like, oh, it's all good. And you're done with your session. And now you need to do what? You need to put the bulk of the weight and the hardest part of this entire cover to slam down directly on the screen of your device. I have absolutely no idea how did they actually test this design not to see that this is a big problem. The heaviest and the most rigid part of the entire cover is here, and it is intended to come down onto the surface of the screen again and again and again and again. That is the intended use of this cover in the real world scenario. And if that wasn't bad enough, sure, it has some weak magnets that are kind of holding it. So they do have some hold. However, this thing slides all over the place. And guess what? It's this, it's the keys, it's the hardness of this plastic and everything directly in contact with the screen, not only hitting it every time that you close it, but also doing this all the time. Can you even imagine what type of material strain and unwanted forces this actually exhibits on the most fragile and most expensive part of your device? I mean, I really genuinely do not understand how could have someone said that, hey, we place the device and then they put this on top and not realize that this is a horrible idea, that this is simply not gonna work. And to top it all off, we also have these plastic little hinges here, or whatever, things that are poking out, which are also conveniently, let's see, where are they going to land? Let's see, they're going to land right there, right on the screen. As far as I'm concerned, this is not something that I would willingly use on my own personal device ever. The chances that this is not going to break the screen over an extended period of time are exceedingly low. I see absolutely no effort made design-wise or structure-wise or anything-wise to try and minimize that. You could have used like a felt or a rubber strip here that actually makes contact with the frame rather than the screen itself, right? And then it can make a nice connection there and basically absorb the impacts. I mean, there are many different things that could have been employed, but to leave, again, the hardest and the heaviest element of the cover to time and again fall on to the screen, that is not a good design. All right, so the way that it's supposed to work is that you lift it and slot it here, and that type of action really does work well. It's really easy to repeat it, and then when you're done, you just pick it up, put it down, and off you go to continue scratching your screen as this thing moves about. When it is in a docked position, it sits quite nicely. So there is some give, and this will sometimes cause the connection to kind of maybe get loosened up or something like that. So this is a similar issue that we had on the original Tab Ultra design, and they've went back with that one. I haven't encountered the losing of the connection too much, but it did happen from time to time. So it's not ideal, but it's not really terrible. The overall angle is, that's what it is. So you do not have an option to adjust the angle. If the angle doesn't suit you, well, then it doesn't suit you. That's what you got. Now, before you start using the keyboard, you really do want to familiarize yourself with the keyboard shortcuts, and that is conveniently already kind of part of the whole shebang when you start using it for the very first time. So when you actually connect the keyboard, it will ask you, hey, do you want to go into landscape mode automatically when the keyboard is connected? By the default, it's yes. And do you want to display the keyboard shortcuts? Automatically, it's yes. You also have an option automatically switch to ultra fast mode when a keyboard is connected, and that is by default turned to off. And yes, you can turn off this reminder if you don't want it. And this is the one that you need to kind of familiarize yourself with the shortcuts. Unfortunately, it doesn't really display all of the shortcuts, as there are some hidden shortcuts as well across the whole keyboard there, and those can actually introduce some kind of confusion here and there. But for the most part, they make quite a bit of sense if you come from the any kind of computer type of background. Function keyboards, or the ones with the numerical row here on the top, they are nicely marked because they do contain the icon for the additional functionality, right? So the first ones, which is function 1, 2, 3, and 4, are effectively not usable on the Note Max because they're in connection with the front light. So this is decrease or increase temperature of the front light. Similarly here we have decrease and increase the intensity of the front light. Since Note Max is not a front lit enabled device, then we do not have any kind of use for these 4 function keys on the Note Max. Then we have a full screen refresh, we have mute, decrease, increase volume, take a screenshot, e-ink center, split screen mode, search, and lock the device. So overall, this actually works really well to kind of understand, and this is something that I would expect from a keyboard that is designed and manufactured to fit basically one device, or at the very least a very specific line of devices that you know is going to always run the same operating system and the same type of environment. That gives you an opportunity to actually customize it in a really nice way that other keyboard manufacturers don't really have a luxury to do such a thing, because their keyboards need to be cross-compatible with different operating systems, etc, etc. Here, that's not the case. You can't really use this keyboard with any other device, and that gives you awesome opportunities, which unfortunately have not really been utilized to their full potential. And what do I mean? Well, I mean that it would have been nice to actually add those icons to most of the logical types of functionalities here. So for example, the tab could have had a lower left icon here for the Alt, right? So the alternative functionality here is to basically go and switch the multitask. That's the Alt tab. And having a little icon there would have helped. Same thing with the Command and Enter, right? So Command and Enter or Command and D is home, but that is not indicated on the keyboard in any way, shape, or form. Luckily, we do have the Trackbar here, and the Trackbar also has gestures that can act as shortcuts. In order to access settings and customize your physical keyboard and the trackball itself, you need to go to Settings and then More Settings and then physical keyboard. I have absolutely no idea why in all of these categories here you don't have input as a default category here, but actually you have to go into more settings. Pointless point of confusion as far as I'm concerned. Then you have physical keyboard. Once you get to the physical keyboard, those are all of the settings that you have here to kind of configure your physical keyboard, this one included. These settings basically transfer to all of the keyboards. However, not all of the options are going to be available on other keyboards as well. So what are the functionalities that we have? Well, we have keyboard connection notification, trigger landscape mode, and restored portrait mode after keyboard is disconnected, shortcut reminder, and automatically switch to ultra fast mode, and enable wake up device with keyboard. By default, enable wake up keyboard is by the keyboard is off, but I have turned it on simply because it's something that that's how I would normally use a device like this in a conjunction with a keyboard. Then you have the trackpad functionality, so you can turn it off completely if you don't want to use it. And then you have trackpad gestures, as I mentioned. So you have 3 fingers up is to go home, 3 fingers down is to go back, 4 fingers tap is a screenshot. Then you have 3 fingers in either of the directions, so you can go left and right with the 3 fingers, and that's going to give you the app switcher, so you will get multitask switcher functionality there. And 2 fingers is scrolling sometimes, and you have pinch to zoom, and of course double tap with 1 finger and then hold to move the target. So that's the trackpad gestures. And then you have shortcut reminder. This is going to be on. Then you also have the strange option that the show virtual keyboard remains on by default, and you really don't want it. I mean, that should be off by default, because if you're using a physical keyboard, you really don't want the virtual keyboard showing up itself here. However, this option has kind of like a mind of its own, and even then you kind of turn it to off and then you use it, then keyboard's going to pop up and suddenly you're going to go back to settings and it's like going to go, oh, you're on. Okay, you switch it off and then you type some more and it's like, oh, the virtual keyboard is back on. It's like, oh, go to settings, oh, it's back on. Whether or not there's like a shortcut, keyboard shortcut, hidden keyboard shortcut that does that or not, I don't really know. What I do know is that there is a keyboard shortcut to enable or disable the trackpad, and I don't know what it was, and I encountered it only by a weird error, and it took a while to kind of figure that out. So I know that there are hidden shortcuts here, but generally speaking, yeah, these are fiddly, and they can become a bit problematic if they are switched on and off without the user's explicit intent. And that's what kept happening to me, at least, at the very least, with the virtual keyboard. Then you have natural scrolling, right? And then you have trackpad pointer speed. There's an additional thing that you need to be also aware of, and that's in the mouse settings. Now the mouse is going to be your trackpad, and you have the option of having the pointer shape either as a circle or an arrow, and then you also have the pointer speed and the pointer size. Now what you need to kind of take into account is that you have trackpad pointer speed setting here, and then you also have the mouse pointer speed here. So if I lower the pointer speed on the mouse and I go back down here, you will see that they are not actually connected. All right, cool. So now you can start using this and you've learned your shortcuts and you're kind of happy puppy. So it's like, oh, there's some ghosting. Bam, refresh. Oh, that's good. I know my gestures here, so I can just go 3 fingers swipe up and then I'm back home. Or maybe I want to go back and then I swipe down and, well, it can't really do that, so maybe we can swipe to the side. There we go, we've got back to the app switcher, except that it just shows and then goes away, and then, okay, now we got it. Okay, cool. So then I have my pointer, and then I can choose what I want, and so then go function 0, because that's where the e-ink center is. Then you can see, oh, I'm actually in A2 mode, and that's the maximum speed that you're going to be able to get from a pointer on this device. Because despite the system saying go to ultra fast mode, Note Max currently doesn't have ultra fast mode. And also black on white, while it's really visible, if you have a device that has some refreshing issues or ghosting issues, well, that's going to translate into something like this, which is going to be, yeah, depending on how sensitive you are, it can turn to be kind of messy quite quickly. So let's go refresh again. So that function 5, you're going to be using that a lot. I'm fine with refreshing, I'm fine with all of this, and I'm kind of a happy puppy, especially because this is a full format and it's really nice to kind of type on this. And with this screen here, it resembles a regular type of work scenario that we've come to expect from devices such as the Surface or, yeah, iPad Pros and things like that. Cool. So something that's recognizable. And one of the recognizable things is basically the ability to move around your icons. And the guide said double tap and then move. Except the double tap didn't really do that. All right, so the double tap, there we go. Now it did. Okay. The best way that I can describe it and what works best for me is to double tap and hold, and then you see that the cursor is going to blink, and then you've grabbed your icon, and then you can move it around. If you try and use it like double tap and just move, it's not going to work, and then it's going to be very, yeah, non-responsive. So you got to do double tap, hold, wait for the cursor to blink, then you have that option of using it. So let's take a hypothetical situation here and say that I want to move the docks icon all the way over there, or maybe, yeah, I want to dock it down in the middle. So double tap, hold, blink, I have it, cool. So I'm gonna go down here, and I've reached the edge of the trackpad, but the functionality of the environment and everything else, it doesn't really have that functionality to continue scrolling when you're holding on the edges of the trackpad. And that applies to up, down, left, and right. Then you discover that this trackpad actually has a physical click as well as a button, but it has two buttons, left and right mouse button, that behaves really strangely. First of all, Android, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't have the functionality for a right mouse button or a right click by default. It just has a click or a pointer click type of functionality. So left mouse click is a normal kind of click, same as a tap, right? So the same type of functionality, but the right mouse button expectedly doesn't do anything. And that's not the only peculiarity. I don't know if this is a particular defect with this specific keyboard cover that I have received here for reviewing, or is this a general design type of thing that this is how it works. But the way that I perceive how the clicks work on this trackpad is that it's malfunctioning. And what do I mean? So as I said, you have left click, right click. For this, I'm going to put the microphone here and demonstrate for you to something to hear, and then I'm going to tell you what I hear and observe. So basically what happens is that this trackpad clicks normally only in the left bottom corner or the right bottom corner. Anything else is going to have this two-step kind of thing that you've heard, with the middle depending on where you are. And this is not really reserved only for this section here, but it's also like right smack in the area where the left click should be, and right in the area where the right click should be. That is not normal type of behavior, and this is a mechanical fault in this case. This is not a software thing. This is just, yeah, mechanically it doesn't perform as a trackpad click should. All right, so obviously there are some issues, but let's do some actual typing, shall we? And the typing itself is rather pleasant and feels natural. Unfortunately, there are issues with the precision of typing. Even though I am quite deliberate at pressing these keys, I will have either double or missed space triggers. And you can actually see that even here I'm getting a couple of doubles here. So there's a double space there and there and there. There's another double space and there's another double space and another double space in here as well. I didn't really do anything unnatural or anything like that. I just typed normally. And for now, I have actually been using the Note Max quite a while with two different keyboards, and I haven't noticed this issue at all. So if it was my very first typing experience, I could maybe attribute this to the platform actually performing the way it is, but that's not the case. This, I know for a fact that this is simply because of this keyboard. I do not have these issues on other keyboards. And it's not just that. While I was typing and testing it, I started to experience really strange things, and at one point it appeared as if the keyboard stopped working even though everything was connected, and then the backspace wouldn't work, and then I just kind of started to mush keys, and then I saw that I'm getting some special characters and also some shortcuts going on and off, and then I realized it was actually behaving as if the control key was stuck. And then basically when I got to the point of typing F, it wouldn't type F, it would instead go to control find, the find operation. That was the only indication that I actually had that it was doing something like that. So there are some issues that are kind of happening, and haven't really experienced any of these issues when I was using a dedicated external keyboard. I know that this angle is not ideal for you seeing the performance and all that kind of stuff. So what I wanted to include is that in the next section of the video, I'm just gonna do typing on this keyboard cover. Then I'm gonna use my K860 Logitech keyboard that I use normally. And I'm gonna be using the Nocfree Lite as well to see when typing the exact same type of content, how many missed or doubled keystrokes will I have, and that you can actually see what the type of performance is available when you're using different types of keyboards. Alright, and here are the results of the test using the Boox keyboard cover. I had 1 double space, 2 missed spaces, and I had 3 typos. When I switched to using Logitech K8600 via the Bluetooth connection, I had 0 double spaces, I had 0 missed spaces, and I had 1 typo here in results. And when I connected Nocfree via the use of their wireless USB dongle, I had 0 double spaces, 0 missed spaces, and 0 typos. The performance is pretty much exactly the same across the board as far as the speed itself goes, but the reliability of using this keyboard, it's simply, the worst performing one out of these 3 that I've tested here. For completeness sake, I also wanted to cover that this keyboard cover comes with this, this throwaway idea that they had for the Boox Go 10.3 cover. So yes, you do have that thing, but it doesn't really do anything to alleviate any of the issues that you may have. The only thing that it will introduce is basically, more magnetic forces on your screen. So that's that product. Well, shagamba good nuts, because I was actually really looking forward to this one, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me at all. I mean, for all the obvious reasons. The main disappointment here is that if it was executed correctly as a concept, there's ample amount of room to make this concept work. And we've seen on Remarkable Paper Pro how this can be approached in a much better and modern and much better designed and executed way. With the extended dimensions of Boox Note Max, you get the possibility to have an integrated full-size keys and keyboard and everything like that, but this is not the product that was supposed to complement Boox Note Max in a good and efficient way. And even if the keyboard was like super awesome and consistently good, and even if the trackpad was, brilliant, so that the whole, this section, that all of this worked absolutely brilliantly, I would still have major issues, and I would still not recommend nor use this accessory, because this thing needs to repeatedly go on top of your screen time and time again, and that's simply not something that I would be willing to expose my precious Note Max device to. Especially not when there's so many other alternatives that work brilliantly with this device. So for me personally, this is a huge disappointment, because I really looked forward to this concept, and I couldn't really even envision that it was going to be executed in this way. While there are definitely good aspects to this product, the major negative one, the primary design flaw, is so huge that it negates basically everything else, which is very unfortunate. So there you go. Please do let me know in the comments down below what you think about the magnetic keyboard cover. Am I overreacting with the concern that this is a complete deal breaker for me? That concept of the keyboard hitting and laying down and rubbing against the screen constantly if you're using it like that. The only way that this could work for me is that if I don't use it as a cover keyboard and it's like a dock thing, but it's not a dock thing, and again, then like, why wouldn't I use a keyboard that I already have and that I'm already used to and that has my I just don't get it. So if you think that I'm wrong, or if you do agree or whatever, please do let me know down in the comments below, because I'm really genuinely interested to kind of hear your opinion and see what's what. But even if we take that completely aside, when I tested it against other keyboards, it still performed the worst. So no matter how I turn it around, it's really a no-go as far as I'm concerned. Please do let me know what your opinion is. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!